I'm Naveya, and here we are today with another interview at Talks with TEC. Today we are having a special guest with all of us, an author, which have a very different writing style, which is very exceptional. So when most of us were enjoying our summer break back then, at just 14 years of age, someone was busy writing fantasy fiction based on Greek mythology. Damon Black, The Battle of Lost Ages, his first book released when he was just 14 years. Today, this Delhi-based author is just 24, passed out from St. Stephen's College, and has three bestsellers under his name. We are so glad to have the one and only Kevin Missal with us. Thank you so much for taking out time for us from a busy schedule, sir.
Yes, Navya,
So
thank you so much.
I hope whenever you're comfortable, sir, we'll start with the questions.
I'm comfortable. Let's go.
Okay, so the first question goes like this. How did mythology fiction came into the picture?
I think I was always a big lover of mythology fiction since the age of 12, I guess. I used to read like a lot of Greek mythology, Roman mythology, any kind of mythology that I could get my hands on. And probably because I just don't know why. I think it's also the cultural resonance that it come from where it comes from, and how the world perceives it. Like for instance, how Greek mythology is. I mean, through Greek mythology, I got to know a little bit about Greece. Through Roman mythology, I got to know a little about Rome, and so since with Hindu mythology, I learned a little bit about Indians. So I feel that, and I think in India only, there's just one. This is just one mythology where people actually believe it's true and it's still here and it's part of us and everything, and
Yeah.
it's history, not mythology in India. While in Greece and Rome and all, they have agreed that this is all mystical and magical, and
Yeah.
ye sab nahi ho sakta. But yeah, so I mean, that's why I love it. I mean, and the reason why I love Hindu mythology the most is because I think it's very complex, it's very diverse, it's and it's, as I told you just right now, it has a lot of it it can be very well connect can be very well connected to the history. So that's why I was interested in. Yeah, and I'm a
Yeah,
history honors, so history graduate, so I love history. So I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's good. Then the next one goes like this. Sir, as you mentioned in one of your interviews that when you published your first book, Demons, The Battle of Lost Ages, at that point of time, your schoolmates or the batchmates, they did kind of support you for that, and you constantly were getting degraded about that novel that you wrote.
yeah.
So, how did you overcome all of this and what kept you going?
I'm pretty sure I didn't overcome. I didn't write for the last for the next 3 years or 4 years. But I think at the end of the day, if you're like a true born writer and if you are like someone who is very very into the craft of writing, I don't think so anything can stop you. I think few bad reviews can hold you back for like few years, but that's it. I'm pretty sure you can just jump back to it and do it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's your
Yeah.
creative mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sir, what makes you feel like writing? Like when you are low or when you are like happy? Means when is your main thing when you feel like writing?
I don't think so. There's a particular emotion that I have. I think the only emotion that I have is I have to earn money, and so I have to write. I think that's the only emotion I'm going through right now. Nowadays, at least at this point of my time in my career. But yes, earlier I used to write it out of excitement, never out of grief or never out of sadness or never out of, I don't know, happiness or something. It was just about the idea of, this one thought really excited me, and I was like, I have to pen it down. I have to know whether I'll be able to create a story out of it and all. So I think that is one feeling that I still cling on to, even though it has become a profession now.
Okay. So, I mean, how did you connected fantasy with Hindu mythology? Like it's kind of very
Yeah, I
exceptional.
mean, it's a very sensitive thing to connect mythology and fantasy. It's probably because I connected fantasy not from a very like not from a very negative perspective, I would say, but from a positive perspective, because there are a lot of hiccups in mythology. Like we don't know what the hiccups are, and like there are a lot of things, a lot of sources that are, like there are very contradictory. So I realized that I can never make anyone happy by
Okay.
doing one particular way, right? So I knew that if I add a fantasy tag, the reader will be like, "Ha, ये तो fantasy है." ये मेरी mythology को कुछ कर नहीं रहा है, you know, like
Yeah.
this thing. So I knew that I had to be on the safe ground, and that's why I did like the fantasy thing. Now I'm going to riskier ground. Now I am. So recently I wrote a book called Durga, which I'm sure everyone knows, and it's very historical. It takes place at the 1500 BCE, like during the Iron Age of India and everything, like the early Iron Age of India, and I try to show as if Durga actually existed, you know, and through her whatever actions or whatever her story was, kind of got exaggerated over a period of years, and she became the myth as we know today.
Yeah.
And so did with the other book I'm writing right now while we are talking. Also, I mean, I was just plotting it out in the morning. It's on Karna. I'm sure Karna. So I don't know if anyone knows Mahabharat. Karna is like
Yeah.
the guy. But so I'm writing on him, and what I'm again doing that thing. I'm going to talking about the late Iron Age of India. So you know, I'm going in the riskier territory where I'm going to tell them that this actually happened, and now I'm going to get like a lot of ridicule and a lot of backlash because you know it's no more fantasy; it's history now.
Yeah.
I'm saying that mythology was history; it actually happened. You know,
Okay.
so yeah.
That's how it's kind of really cool. And do you think someone could be writer if they don't feel emotion strongly?
यही मेरे को क्वेश्चन बहुत आता है पता नहीं क्यों समझ नहीं आया so many people ask me you know if you don't feel emotions strongly how do you not feel emotions like I'm very confused. I mean, how does one not feel emotions strongly? I think I have been always an empathetic person as an individual. I'm someone who always cares about the other person. I always someone who, you know, if I have a good friend, or if I have a, you know, partner, I would love to, like, you know, care
Yeah.
for them a lot. But I don't think I have ever thought that because of this reason I'm able to write. You know, it never came from कि मतलब हाँ connection कुछ नहीं है मतलब. That's what I'm saying. You know, the connection is only that कि yeah, I mean
Your
I'm able to
imagination.
pen down the emotions better. Could that be the reason? But I think writing में it's more than just the emotions. You can always pretend to have the emotions, right? You can always be like कि हाँ he's sad. Well, just read
Yeah.
it, not going to dispute it, right? I mean, the thing is, so you can always pretend it to have it. So I don't think so. There's a connection here. So that's my answer to your question.
Okay, so tell us something about your big book that is going to release in September, Hiranyakashyap.
It's releasing right now. It's already released actually, July
Oh
15th.
yeah, it's releasing right now.
Yeah,
How is
I
it?
think
Tell us
September में मेरी
something.
सिनबाद होनी थी जो डिले हो चुकी है was January. So
Sinbad.
because of Corona virus.
So tell us something about that book.
Which one? The Sinbad one?
No, no, Hiranyakashyap.
Hiranyakashyap one. Okay, so Hiranyakashyap was in all its glory a sequel to my first book in the Mahavatar trilogy, which was on Narsimha, the fourth avatar of Lord Vishnu. And it's basically a continuation of the story, and it's about Danavs, Asuras, Devas, all fighting together, but in a very realistic setting. It's fantasy, but it's also a very realistic setting. It takes place way before anything, long time before when India used to be called Elavarti. So it's like a little fantastical in that term. And it's basically, again, it talks most about faith and about how difficult it is for teenagers to cling on to faith and what faith they should follow and what they want to follow. I mean, it's their choice. I mean, and how their society, their parental pressure makes them want to choose a faith that they don't want to, but they are like still good. They have to go with it. So I think that's what I think Hiranyakashyap is all about.
So why do you choose the title of the book as Hiranyakashyap instead of Prahlad?
Because Prahlad is the third book. In this, Hiranyakashyap plays a major role. It's basically about him, how he wants to convert his son back into his own faith, like the
Okay.
one that he follows. So yeah, that's basically about that.
Like that he
So
follows, like I wanted to be, I'm a god
yeah,
and all
because
that
he's
stuff.
like, yo, what have you done? I mean, the society will not accept and all. I mean, I'm, I'm making it very simplistic in it. It's not that simplistic in the book, but yeah, it's at the end of the day, that's the thing. You know, he's like, why are you doing this? This is wrong. You're hurting my reputation, my sentiments. You know, all those
Mm.
things. So it's an allegory about Indian teenagers and their angst again with their parents. So, yeah.
So okay. So what
शर्मा जी
about
का
your
लड़का क्या बोलेगा? You know, that sort of a thing. I
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And what about your Sadbat series? Like it's based on Arabian Nights, I have read somewhere, right?
Sinbad, yeah. It's I think Sinbad the Sailor everyone knows. I'm pretty sure if they have seen Rock On also. Have you guys seen Rock On? I mean, there's a
Yeah.
song called Sinbad the Sailor Ek Jahaz pe Chal
Yeah.
Chala, that sort of a thing, right? So he's
Yeah.
one of the most popular heroes of all time. He has been featured in more than 100 movies in different iterations, different ways of looking at Sinbad. I went and I was like, let's give it a try. One of the major reasons why I wrote it, because there was a lot of Islamophobia happening, not just in India but overall as well. And I just felt I think to have a Muslim hero would be pretty cool. So yeah,
So how your experience is going on well? Mali, you finished writing, right? Or
yeah. I
what?
finished writing like last year. Yeah,
Okay. So how was your experience in that? It was good.
it was it was exhausting because it was a very different book for me. First of all, it's a
Oh.
YA book. It's a small book. It's for younger audiences.
It's
Second of all,
actually
it's
not a
from this.
mythology, I suppose, right? Yeah, it is.
It is fantasy. It's not. It can be
And
mythology, Arabian mythology, but it includes like a lot of mythology. So I make it fantasy only because fantasy is like a culmination of a lot of mythologies. You know.
yeah.
So that's why Sinbad is a fantasy. And what happens is for a younger audience, it's from a 10 plus audience. It's I wanted to target the school and the children and everything.
Yeah.
So I wanted to basically. It was a tough book because of that, and also because I focused only on Sinbad. It was a so there are different point of views when a writer writes, and it's only one point of view I was writing from Sinbad's perspective, and it was
Okay.
very tough because you're limited, right? You're limited to that one. It's like something like writing Harry Potter
Oh,
because it's from
only
just
one
Harry Potter's
character you're
perspective. It's just from the Harry
limited.
Potter's perspective, right? So you can't just tell Voldemort क्या कर रहा है side में. You can't.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to like because if you notice, J.K. Rowling uses always the first chapter as a way to introduce the villain or whatever the mystery is. But
Yeah.
after that, it's just Harry Potter. You know. So
So that's how, okay. Only you're focusing on the one character in your
yeah,
book.
and that was tough. That was pretty tough because it kind of gets boring for the author as well.
Yeah. To only focusing on one entire
Yeah.
novel.
Yeah.
Okay. So also you've mentioned almost everywhere, like you always wanted to write fantasy, but that thought came into your mind that it won't sell it out in India.
Yeah.
That's why you went to mythology.
Yeah.
Basically, for me to ask is why, what made you think that it won't sell out in India? Fantasy.
Mythology or fantasy?
Fantasy. That's why you went to
I think
mythology, right?
fantasy यार कभी नहीं चलता. Fantasy as a historically speaking, the thing is, we live in a country where reading is very scarce, and it's not as big as the US and the UK market. It's a very small market in India, even though it has like a the regional market is very strong. So the problem is people don't want to spend money on books.
Yeah,
फ्री से ले
actually.
लेंगे, लेंड कर लेंगे, बोरो कर लेंगे, कहीं और से ले लेंगे. ओ सॉरी, या प्लीज एडिट इट आउट. माय दिस थिंग जस्ट फेल. यस. ओके, या. So yeah, वो lend कर लेंगे, borrow कर लेंगे, all those stuff that they think they want to do. But when it comes to this thing, buying books, people don't want to do it, and because of that, they only choose those books which they are like कि हाँ मुझे इसका comparative international नहीं मिलेगा.
Yeah.
मतलब for instance, अगर आप thriller देख लो, okay, thriller market is such a big market in US and UK and in India as well. People love thrillers in India. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that. But अगर तुम Indian thriller पकड़ लो and कोई भी Indian thriller नहीं पड़ेगा. Why? Because वो यार crime petrol लिख देंगे, वो सावधान इंडिया लिख देंगे. They have that sort of a logic. So I don't particularly believe that. I feel we are still in power of fighting the international books and everything. But fantasy wise, the international किताबें भी नहीं चलती. That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
Except for you take Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, all these are the ones that are selling. But when you go to adult fantasy, it's not selling. So I kind of realized that, and I think Sinbad is a risk that I'm taking, which is a fantasy on its own. It's a
Yeah.
full-fledged fantasy. So I don't know. It might sell. It might not sell. Let's see.
Okay, that's cool. So, lastly, I would like that I just went through your social media handle and it was about dealing with mental issues. And
Yeah.
in one of the points you mentioned read mythology. So how can someone deal with mental illness by reading mythologies?
Okay, I think that's a good question. I think probably because mythology is one thing, and I don't talk just about my mythology. I don't just talk about the fantastical way of looking at mythology, but any kind of mythology, because it has such diverse kind of topics that are discussed, that are told, that are, because it, Hinduism, in terms, what I personally feel is the most peaceful religion, you know,
Yeah.
and I feel that it can really, really change someone's life. And I personally feel that faith can change. Like for a mythology writer, I'm an agnostic. You know, I believe there's some divine power, but I don't know what it is. You know,
Yeah.
but that's my choice. That's how I look at it, right? I hope that through the books that I write or the books any other mythology writing is basically to give the faith, to give a chance for them to go into faith and to really cherish that, because faith does give you a power. I'm not talking some spiritual power कि वो तुम्हें वो दे देगा, gift दे
Yeah,
देगा कुछ.
like
No,
peace and something like that,
exactly.
right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. So it gives you peace, it gives you a certain sense of mental health, you know, if you really dig into it. Why do people meditate? You know, I mean, meditation, why do people do yoga? I mean, it drives down to from the very simplistic things, which is faith, you know. And
Yeah.
that's how I think I
Just to
personally believe
change
that's
their
why.
mind, like if someone is feeling depressed, they will read some peaceful kind of stuff and their mind will
Exactly.
divert it to that kind of.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So would you like to share any one of your memorable moment as an author that you have till date?
I think it was that one time when I was at a World Book Fair and I had just released my first book, and there was this. I had told that I'll be signing books at the World Book Fair at this particular stall and everything, and I was not expecting people to come, but people did come, which was very sweet of them. And but that was not the most cherishing part. The most cherishing part was this small girl came with a fat book, because that was a very fat book, the first one, and she came and she was just like, you know, holding it down, and she just gave it to me to sign. And she didn't say anything. She just came, and her mother is like, she came all the way from there to, like, you know, get her book signed and everything. And I'm like, wait, my book has blood. Why is she reading? There's so much violence. But anyway, I didn't say anything. I signed it for her, and she didn't say anything. She didn't say thank you, nothing. She just takes the book, she goes back. That's it. You
That's so
know?
sweet.
And she didn't say I love your book, nothing. She just goes back. And it's so sweet. It's so cute. So I thought that was one of the good memories I had.
And you would like to share, if you don't mind, like some of your college funny or crazy memories? Any?
Uh, I think it's a good question because most people don't ask me that. So during college, I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I have made, and they're still out there, like on YouTube. I mean, if someone types Kevin Missal and they scroll down and go down to the depths of history of Kevin Missal, they'll probably find the awkward films and short films I have done, which are so bad that they are pretty funny. And
Oh, that you have worked on some short films as well. I
yeah,
didn't
because
know
I
that.
used to love filmmaking. I used to love stories, actually. That's the thing. And I thought
Okay.
that's the best way to express it. So yeah, I mean, used to make, and used to make, a lot of people used to make fun of me and everything, and but then it's fine, you know, I've gotten used to it by now, to make people making fun of me now. So, that happened, and then I was like, okay, let's see how it is. But I did a web series which was very, very bad, and I know now, you know, I know, and I knew that time as well. But you know, why not give it a try? So that's
Anything like that you didn't
no,
cover, if you
no,
can
nothing,
actually.
nothing, yeah, nothing. Just thank you so much for having me here, and I hope your channel grows and you guys do really well.
Oh, thank you so much. And we really got to learn so much. Okay, so on that note, I would like to end this session. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. It was a great pleasure to meet you and learn so much from you. And you are a true inspiration to all the writers out there, especially the strugglers who are trying to write Greek mythology or Hindu mythology. And ladies and gentlemen, this was one and only Kevin Missal with us. Stay tuned for more such motivational and successful stories. Thank you. Bye.